Hello, back with more ancient cosmography. Some been going through these screenshots of my conversations with, quote unquote, with ChatGPT. So I'm not sure why they all have this. I guess this had to do with whatever is the first question I asked, and it just kept that as the headline even after other questions. But here my actual question is, I asked the AI, internet AI, GTP or whatever. The route to the underworld was to cross Okeanos. What is across the ocean from Europe? Just like asking them the basic questions, since, all the Greeks said the underworld is separated from the upper world by Okeanos, the ocean. So I asked, what is over there? And of course, they give me some gibberish answer. They could just say the answer, which is, of course, America. So they say, from a European's perspective, if one were to cross the Atlantic Ocean, the landmass that would be encountered across the ocean is the continent of North America. The eastern coast of North America, including countries such as the United States and Canada, would be the first land reached when crossing the Atlantic Ocean from Europe. It is important to note that the concept of crossing Okeanos, as described in ancient Greek mythology, was a mythical journey to the realm of the underworld rather than a literal geographical route. The belief in Okeanos as a boundary separating the mortal world from the realm of the gods and the underworld was part of an ancient Greek cosmology and mythology. In that context, it did not directly correspond to specific geographic location. Great dodge there. Of course, they admit that all the maps of the sky, even though mythological, were also real maps. But somehow nothing geographical can be real. Because that would just be too true. So I asked it, why are Mesoamerican codices identical to Egyptian funerary texts? And so ChatGPT says, or GTP, I don't know, GPT, there it is. Mesoamerican codices and Egyptian funerary texts may share certain superficial similarities in terms of their visual representations and format, and the names of their gods, and so stupid. But it is important to note that they originate from distinct cultural and historical contexts. Yeah, well, nobody said they didn't in part. It's just the question of, were they also culturally connected? Which, of course, they were. While both Mesoamerica and ancient Egypt developed complex written systems and engaged in the practice of documenting religious and cultural beliefs, the specific content, symbolism, and purposes of their respective texts differ significantly. Bullshit. They're both just maps. Maps of the sky, maps of the earth. I mean, they have some other things in there too, but mostly it's the same thing. Largely focused around Venus, Quetzalcoatl, Isis, Nephthys, Ma'at, all names of Venus. Mesoamerican codices, such as the Maya and Aztec codices, were pictorial manuscripts created by indigenous cultures in Mesoamerica. They contain a variety of information, including historical records, religious rituals, astronomical observations, and genealogies, just like the Egyptian. These codices were primarily created on bark paper and featured vibrant images and hieroglyphic writing systems. And they were sometimes made on leather, just as the Egyptian ones were sometimes made on leather. Egyptian funerary texts, on the other hand, refer to a collection of ancient Egyptian texts, such as the Book of the Dead or the Pyramid texts, which were intended to guide and protect the deceased in the afterlife. That's definitely part of the Mesoamerican codices too. Anybody with any like familiarity would understand that. These texts were inscribed in tomb walls, coffins, and papyri and contain spells, prayers, and instructions to ensure the successful journey of the deceased to the realm of the gods, which is America, Amentet Neferet, the beautiful West. While there may be some visual parallels, such as the presence of human figures, animals, and cosmological symbols, right, like that's the only similarity. The specific iconography, writing systems, religious beliefs, and cultural contexts associated with Mesoamerican codices and Egyptian funerary texts are distinct and reflect the unique characteristics of their respective civilizations. Yeah, no shit. That's like saying two people are distinct, but they also share culture. That doesn't mean they don't share culture just because they're distinct. They're not. Nobody is completely distinct. It is also worth noting that similarities in artistic expression or visual motifs can arise independently in different cultures due to universal human themes, shared experiences, or parallel developments in artistic techniques. These similarities should not necessarily be interpreted as evidence of direct cultural influence or connection between Mesoamerica and ancient Egypt. So it's the same thing. It's just like no matter what it is, it's always just a coincidence. It's never evidence unless it's about something that they're allowed to like look at. But this, because this is seen as pseudoscience, that no matter what you find, they'll always just say, oh, well, it might be very similar, but, you know, it's actually completely distinct and totally unrelated. And they don't have to explain how they know that, because obviously they don't know shit about any of this. They haven't even said one detail about really any of the... I mean, they've said some very vague details, which shows that they clearly don't know shit about either of these, because they're saying that these are details which are totally distinct one from the other, which is not true at all. All right, so anyway, my phone's probably going to cut me off in a sec. And see, I've been reading about America and how like America is, you know, an ancient South American name,